single file. Actually, they've not coming down across the line. Green flag is out. They already fan out the 3-4 wide action near the middle of the pack and heading into the Andretti hairpin for the first time. You see Carroll and Baum all in side-by-side action, as Carroll's going to have to give up the ghost for that lead. Isaacson, though, coming up through the pack. He's battling for second place. saw the racing action get better during the commercial break. Tim Salveson, Scott Dager, Alan Ritchie, your top three right now. Still got that battle for position as Dallas Carroll has got up ahead of Joseph Kaku for position. Of course, they are 0.2 of a second. We'll catch up with that battle and more in just a little bit as we'll step aside. Oh, actually, no, we won't. As Ku goes to the inside right there of Dallas, and still side by side. He gets a position for now. Yeah, we actually know what's. Hold on a second, just for a second. As Dallas Carroll goes to the inside once again, and Ku shuts the door on him. I mean, at the side. Let's step aside here on Driver's Eye Live. Well, the battle for the Spec Boxster lead has fallen off just a little bit as Ku and Carroll basically trying to get their way through some slower traffic. Jeremy Scott and Brendan Eric joining you here as now Carroll starts to have another attack coming off of the corkscrew, but will it be too little, too late? Half the race down, half the race to go. And Brendan, I think that Carroll learned a lesson not going down pit road as he's really pressuring your race leader.
Yeah, I mean, this margin was out 7 or 8 car lengths around the first half of this lap as the overall podium worked its way through the Spec Boxster lead battle. And by the end of the lap, Ku has caught Carroll once again, just a handful of car lengths, actually stretches the margin a little bit there down into turn number 2. Goes kind of awkwardly defensive on the way in, takes kind of a shallow entry there, and that's going to allow Dallas Carroll now up onto the back of Chris Carroll in that all-blue car there in the background. We'll pick that up here in just a second as they come out of turn number 3. And yeah, nose to tail once again. So as we said this morning, traffic really does play a role in the way these races develop, where you catch or are caught. And there they are, headed now underneath the Montage Health Bridge. Stretches out again. So it does kind of seem, Jeremy, like Ku has got the legs on the straightaways. Carroll able to charge into those braking zones a little bit better, maybe make better use of the exits, but by the time they get up into fifth gear, it's all Joseph Ku up front.
Yeah, Ku's able to open up that gap once again, and it seems like that once they get to the corkscrew, Carroll's able to reel him in, but he just cannot find an answer in how to get around Ku once they get through there. And yeah, you see that closing in of the 106 of Carroll now making their way through Randy Curve as we've got 12 and a half minutes left to go in this race. And really, that's our closest battle of consequence, to say the least. We've got battles on the track here and there for overall position, but nobody's closer than those two. As I take a look at my timing screen, really, though, yeah, nobody's closer. Everybody else battling each other out of class.
You know, it's interesting, Jeremy. The two best battles on the track right now are, of course, the Spec Boxster lead battle, where the cars could not be more simpler. Ku and Carroll are at it again in the Spec Boxster lead battle, Jeremy. Quarter of a second last time across the line. Off the back of a really good lap from Dallas Carroll's number 106, 142.8. It is the fastest lap of the Spec Boxster race, his personal fastest lap of the race, even at this late stage, as the tires are not screaming for mercy, but they've been worked over for the last 27 minutes or so. We will try and pick up that Spec Boxster lead battle. Remember, it's blue versus white and blue. Ku over Carroll. They come back through this time. Was a quarter second. It's now out to 1.3. So, I mean, Jeremy, more than just about any other race I can remember watching in PCA club racing, from lap to lap, these battles just expand and shrink and expand and shrink, almost like a video game rubber banding situation, where it tunes the AI a little bit, the gap goes out, and then they realize it's not quite fast enough, and it comes back together. That's what Ku and Carroll are doing here in the Spec Boxster lead battle. Now they've got what I think is a lap car in between. Oh no, they're coming up towards lap traffic, headed up the hill out of turn number 6. They're going to be met with Alan Ritchie and Scott Dager here in a couple of moments' time as the blue flag waves exactly for that situation at top of the corkscrew.
That's called that the accordion effect for that exact reason. And now you'll have Richie and Dagger closing in on them here ever so slightly as they work their way through Rainy Curve. Oh, that Boxster not watching his mirrors. A little bit of flash there as you see that Koo has held up by one of the slower cars. And now Carroll trying to go around the outside. Not going to make that happen. Well, he's going to try and make it through that 11th turn. I can't believe he did that as they're side by side with the battle for second, breathing down their neck. They're going to have to stay to the right. Let's keep an eye on this. Both of those drivers able to make their way through, but the battle for the lead goes side by side heading into the Andretti hairpin. Koo has the inside line, Carroll the outside. They almost touch going into the corner, and they're still neck and neck as they work their way through the Andretti hairpin. 1.5 minutes left to go. Something's going to have to give, and Carroll decides discretion is a better part of valor. I'm just going to go ahead and make my way around. I don't know, Brendan, did you see the finger out, or are we on our last lap?
I have not seen it at the start-finish line yet. I think Finn Salveson in his number 79 able to start another lap before we got towards that 1:35 range on the clock, given his 16-second lead out ahead of Alan Ritchie and Scott Dagger. But I got to be honest, I was a little bit more focused on the 3 wide over the line, the fantastic position battle for second place overall, and this unrelenting battle for the Spec Boxster race lead between Joseph Koo and Dallas Carroll.
What a fantastic battle that we're seeing here as they come down off of the turn 6, heading up to Ray Hall straight and into the corkscrew. You see Ritchie opening up a little bit bigger lead over Dagger. And now where are your leaders for Spec Boxster? They're coming down the hill once again. Less than a car length separate Joseph Koo from Dallas Carroll. This time they don't necessarily have slower traffic to work their way around. Over the final couple of corners they come. We saw that Carroll was able to close in on Koo, but not able to do it this time because there's not that much of a mess. Eyes on the starter. Indeed, he has the finger out. 1 lap to go for your race win in Spec Boxster. You take a look at who's in third right now, and it's Richard Baum 10 seconds behind. No threat there, but who is a threat? It's Carroll on the outside, and he's not able to make anything happen through that Andretti hairpin. All around the corner they come as Koo trying to see if he can make it another win here in Spec Boxster as Carroll goes to the inside through 3, now sets up right behind him through turn 4. Her back and too far away to make any sort of consequence as your Spec Boxster lead comes down to the final couple of corners, couple of break zones that could decide who is going to be on the top step of the Spec Boxster podium. Turn 5 awaits. Now they make their way through. Carroll takes the hook line and tries to see if the sinker's going to work. Not going to happen as he gets a better exit off of 5 now through 6. They'll take the dip and then go all the way up the Ray Hall straight. Opens up a little bit of a big gap. Koo does as they work their way all the way to the through the drop off there as the corkscrew awaits. It's Koo still ahead of Carroll, but Carroll always seems to get a good run here on this final sector. Down through Rainy Curve for the final time as Tim Salverson comes across the line. He is your winner, but we're still keeping a close eye on this battle for the lead in Spec Boxster. On the final corner, no one in sight to bother, but Koo still has to defend over Carroll. Checkered flag is out, and it looks like Joseph Koo will have a great defense and win in Spec Boxster.
As they come across the line underneath that Mission Foods bridge, I got to tell you, Jeremy, nothing about the body language of Dallas Carroll's number 106 said desperation to me. It wasn't like he was likely to try a dive bomb, as this is a change for the top 5 here. Coming off of the final corner, does BJ Nichols have enough up the front straightaway to hold off John Nelson? Yes, he does. So a little premature there, but anyway, just a tiny mistake there off the final corner in the battle for the final step inside the top 5 overall. Anyway, just because Carroll wasn't going to be desperate doesn't mean Koo had much margin for error. There had to be inch perfect on the last lap not to invite the move from the 106, and he absolutely was. Just on the line all the way around this Laguna Seca layout. Braking points were exactly perfect. Didn't leave the door open anywhere he shouldn't have, and closes this one out nicely. Not dominant, but certainly emphatic from Joseph Koo.